but
Hi, everybody. We are live on YouTube. We've started the webinar. We're just waiting to make sure we're good to go on HHTV. So just stand by.
I hear a voice, but I don't hear what they're saying.
it does sound like a television announcement in the background, television voice in the background. Please check your.
All right, all. We are live on HHTV. So we are good to go, and you may begin.
Greetings. Welcome to the April 2021 Residents Council meeting. I'm Peter Shapiro, President of the Council. I'm delighted to have you participate with us and learn what's been going on in the community from management and from the Council. Know that you can ask questions if you're an audience member of the webinar. You can send questions by chat or Q&A, and we'll get started. So I call the meeting to order. And we will start with the usual Residents Council trio of business, the presentation and acceptance of the minutes, this time the March minutes from our secretary, Connie.
Yes, the minutes of the March.
Wait, no, I'm laying out the agenda, Connie.
Oh.
Yeah, okay. Then I did kind of make it ambiguous is what I want you to do. I apologize. Then we'll proceed to the financial report by Diane Tinker. And I think you'll be pleased with the news about the end of our fiscal year, which was March 31st. We run from April 1st to March 31st. So we have a final full year's report on our finances. And then we'll of course have Monday Market. Our wonderful Cami and Susan will be bringing us up to date on that. So now drum roll, please. And Connie, would you walk us through the minutes?
All right, the minutes of the March meeting have been distributed to the council members, read and reviewed, and are now being submitted for approval.
Can I hear a motion for acceptance and approval of the March minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second? Hello? Someone might be seconding with a mute.
A second.
Okay, all right. Unmute yourself so we can hear this rousing chorus of approval of Connie's work and approval of the minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you, Connie. Wonderful work. Thank you very, very much. Okay, we will now move on as soon as my fingers get to the right place on my keypad, which all of a sudden, okay. Pardon me for one moment. You're not seeing the March financial report, are you?
No.
I'm looking for the share screen button, which was there just a moment ago. Zoom, what did you do with the share screen button? Oh, golly.
Well, I could just give it verbally.
Okay, well, here, I think I've solved my problem. It was my operator error. Okay, all right. Better to have the numbers so people can follow along. Okay, I left that one step in the sequence. Okay, take it away, Diane.
Here are the March financial figures. we had a good month for income, a good month for Monday market, and we also had interest income from our CDs this month. And our expenses were low, so we had an operating profit of $4,980, which was a good end to our fiscal year. So now here's the fiscal year totals. Income for the whole year, $50,262. We ended the year with a net loss of $780. We had budgeted and expected a loss of $10,000. So it was a good result for the year. Because of COVID, of course, Monday market receipts were down, but also most committees did not spend their budgeted amount. So, and also this year we gave $20,000.
I think that's also, and very importantly, a marvelous, rousing compliments going to the Monday market, bringing in $50,000 of income. Most of that is Monday market, obviously. And in spite of weeks of months, maybe, of closures and certainly limited potential for hours and limited potential for people in the room at one time, nobody from the outside and so on. So congratulations to everybody for this great result.
Yes.
Any questions for Diane? Okay, hearing none. Thank you very much, Diane. And I will see if I can get back to where I should be. Okay. So moving on. Next, of course, is Monday market report from Cami Elbow and Susan Barish. Right, Cami and Susan?
So I'm here. You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so as Diane said, I won't repeat all of her numbers, but we did really well in March, better than expected. It was because we had wonderful donations and because March has 5 Mondays, which does count a lot. And for the whole year, we made about $4,000 more than we expected, largely because we ended the year so well. Our numbers go up and down a lot, as you know, depending a lot on just donations. Our high all of last year was over $2,000 in the highest week. Our lowest week was $692. So it's up and down a great deal. But for the whole year, we actually averaged about $1,300 a week. We never know what we can expect to do, but we keep working and plugging away and doing the best we can. And we're starting on this next year now. Susan.
Wonderful.
Okay. We do want to thank all of the donors, all the people who are donating to the market, because they're the backbone of what we have to sell. And so it's really very important. We also want to make another comment on urging people to really carefully look at the things they donate. You know, if it has a crack in it or a chip in it, or if it's badly soiled, please don't give it to the market. It needs to go to Goodwill. I have one show and tell example. I don't know if it'll show up, but I just recently got this lovely sweater. It's got like 8 big moth holes in the sweater. Hello.
Oh, we can see the holes easily.
It's just, you know, it's so sad. And we have to process all of these things, and we have to haul them away. And so it just takes a tremendous amount of time. And we would rather spend our time dealing with things that have been somewhat pre-sorted before they were donated. So that's my pitch for today. And I'm sorry to be a complainer, but we are grateful for all the donators, and we really want that to continue. But please look at what you're donating.
Well, we all know how many hundreds of hours but go into it more, maybe thousands of hours go into the money market over the course of a year. And any time that can be saved, less of an imposition on the staff to deal with things like that, the better off we'll be, the happier the staff will be, the more success we'll have.
Right.
So please, everybody, try to keep that in mind when you sort through stuff. There is use of these materials that cannot be sold to the money market elsewhere. And Goodwill, I understand, is pretty good at sorting them out. Sometimes it just goes into making rags. Sometimes it's something that can be used, fixed up, and sold in the Goodwill environment and so on. So yeah, please be conscious of that. Any questions for Cammie and Susan about the money market? Okay, well, thank you very much. You are stalwarts. You are the pillars of our council. Absolutely. Thank you. Okay, now, having its own screen without any other names on it is our fearless leader, and he has to be fearless sometimes, Mike Ostrom.
Thanks, Peter. Well, Peter wanted to make sure that I could liven up the meeting. So I've tried to find the most controversial topics that I could possibly come up with to share with you. So hopefully we'll give you some updates on some of those things here in just a second, but a couple of bright spots. Thursday barbecues are beginning, and weather permitting, we'll do those each Thursday, and those are always a lot of fun. So plan on those and on the B1 Parkview Terrace. And to me, I love them, and I hope you do too. Another bright spot is I had the privilege of visiting Betty Rennebaum the other day for her 100th birthday. And you know, she is so sharp and such a delightful, wonderful person that it was just a privilege to be able to wish her well and to hear some of her stories and to have her appreciate how much she has enjoyed being at Horizon House. So it's a tribute to Betty and to the organization for being a good place for her to be. So a couple of other topics that I want to touch on, the mandatory vaccines and where we are in that process. I know it just seems perhaps to some that we just can say, hey, we'll just make it mandatory and that's that. Well, there are a couple of things that we have to do along the way in order to make sure that we have ourselves covered properly for mandatory staff vaccines. One, we're encouraging everybody to get the vaccine. Second is we're working with partners who will be able to provide them to our staff so we can make it as easy as possible for them. We're also having to make sure that we are crafting our policy about mandatory vaccines in a way in which our legal counsel says is legitimate and enforceable. And we also have to negotiate with our union, who are the majority of our staff who are unvaccinated, are union members, and this is a required union negotiation. We can't arbitrarily say, well, we're just going to demand this. We have to bargain this with the union. There will be, I don't think that they would be in disagreement with it, but they will use this as one of their bargaining tools in order to give us that privilege to have mandatory vaccines. They will want something in return. We don't know what that is. Our bargaining sessions begin in week after next, and we'll just start working through that, and hopefully that will resolve quickly and we can bring this all into place and make it a standard practice in the organization. We're also working with all of our providers, healthcare providers and other providers, to ensure that they will be vaccinated when they come in. We should tell you that a lot of providers like Evergreen or hospice, some of the hospice organizations are not making it mandatory, and they do not feel they can make it mandatory, that they have vaccines for their staff. So some healthcare organizations that serve us, they will not necessarily have all their people vaccinated, but we are requesting they only send us vaccinated people, but they are not necessarily allowed to ask their people if they've been vaccinated. So it's not easy. We're doing everything we can to get towards mandatory staff vaccinations and all of our providers, but not everybody is going to do it the way we do it. So it's a work in process, but that is our goal, and we're making good progress, but we can't just arbitrarily just say this is the way it is.
Hey, Mike, it's amazing to me, the polls show that there are a large minority of healthcare workers in care situations who are not getting vaccinated.
Yes, that is true. How ironic is that?
Yeah.
And that is true in our community as well. The largest number of unvaccinated people are in healthcare.
Mm.
And it makes no sense. But, we are working through this. We talk about it at our task force each morning just to see what kind of progress we're making. And we're going to get there. And that's the plan. But it's just not a snap of the fingers. Second topic is the grocery van update. We hope to have the grocery van back in place within the next 3 weeks. But again, it also requires a process and a procedure. How many people can be in the van? What is going to be the requirement of the residents who are in? What's the requirement of the staff? Who's going to be the staff person who vaccinate or is doing the driving? The person who is most likely to do it is partially vaccinated, but not fully vaccinated. So we need to work through that process. And our hope is that within 3 weeks, we're back into the grocery vans and people can sign up for the various trips that we make during the week. So that is underway. The next topic of controversy is the salon update. People got that update, I think, yesterday, late in the day. So let me just tell you what is taking place there so you know what is happening. This is all about planning for the future. We had 4 stylists not too long ago, and then we had 3, and then we had a retirement, and now we have 2, and we have another pending retirement. And as we go forward and that other retirement comes into play, whether it's this year or soon thereafter, we will be down to 1 person. We are not experts in managing a salon business. When you've had people who've been running something for 30 years, you can pretty much leave it to those people to do it, and it probably works out okay. But we'll be starting kind of from scratch. So we need to be prepared, and this is not an area of expertise for us. In the same way, we are not experts at running food service and getting all of the rules and regulations squared in food service, and we have a provider that does it and does a good job. This is another example of getting professionals involved who know how to run a salon, who do it for 1,000 communities around the country. They understand the nature of the customer, they understand the nature of the environment, and they understand the salon staff side of it. And so we believe working with people who know how to do this is better than for us trying to figure out and how to learn it, because it's not an area of our expertise. And when we make decisions about do you insource, meaning do you do it yourself, versus outsource, you make the decision based on what can you be best at and where can you not be best at. And where you cannot be best at, or probabilities are low, then involve people who know what they're doing so they can focus on that and we can focus on the things that we are good at. As far as the stylists, we want them here. It's their choice that they want to be here. I don't see a reason why they would not choose to be here unless they are choosing to retire. So my hope is that there isn't a change other than what goes on behind the scene. Yes, they have to have a conversation and an interview with PS Salon, because there needs to be a conversation about what the relationship is like so everybody can make an informed decision. That's normal. That's what we did in food service. Some people said, no, I don't want to do that, and they moved on. Others said it looks fine. It all worked out. My expectation is this will work out as well. Anderson Hall, I want to give you that update. We are in a design process. It's taken a fair amount of time. But we would expect the Anderson Hall to be offline between November and April as we begin to build out the improvements in Anderson Hall. So we've got some more planning time before we can get our contractors organized and focused on the actual work. And at this point, it looks like a November to April downtime for Anderson Hall.
We really appreciate that. We have so much advanced planning to do. Thank you, Mike, for letting us.
And we'll know a little bit more as we get closer to the end of summer, what that exact timeline is, but this is our operating timeline for right now. Next item is small group sessions will come up for the second quarter, beginning in the mid part of May. We'll post that in the exact dates and times on the Friday alert. and then you coordinate with Beth so you can participate and be a part of those groups. Again, I always do the CEO monthly report. It's just, it's not that everybody has to read that, except to know that this is how another way in which we communicate with residents about the financials and about the operation of Horizon House. And it's a good source of info for people who otherwise might not know the business of Horizon House. And then I'm going to be out of town next week, going on a vacation that I postponed during our last debacle of the staff people who kind of turned the organization around with their false positive tests. So I'm going to duck out of town next week, and Lori's going to kind of be in charge, and Lori's going to be the one who will do the fireside chat on Friday, a week from this coming Friday. Okay, that's what I have as far as announcements and explanations, but are there questions that I can answer for people?
Yeah, I don't see any in the chat or Q&A, but anybody here assembled on screen have a question or comment? Well, there, what a salesman.
Okay, all right, maybe I'll go on vacation early, just in case.
Okay, better get out of town while you have wind at your back.
Exactly. I'll get a head start.
Yeah.
All right, thank you all.
Mike, thank you so much. Okay. We move on to the next section, and we're going to be hearing from the coordinators, when my fingers get there. We'll be hearing from several coordinators about what's going on within their purview. Frank Jones regarding ethnic awareness, games and arts participation. Mary Ann Anderson will be talking about that, giving us an update on what's going on there. And assisted living, Beth Davis, because we're now in a situation which is different than a year ago. So that's wonderful to know. So Frank, it's all, whoops, I stopped the share screen. You also deserve your name with nobody else on there. Frank's got some very, very interesting plans that he would like to tell us about. It's going to involve a lot of people in the community.
Can you hear me?
Yes, and so I thought this is a good place for him to talk about that. Go right ahead.
I would like to inform the group about two events the Ethnic Awareness Committee is putting on in April. One is this week. Typically, we have a Wednesday evening program. Because of the pandemic, of course, we're doing a Zoom. And you should have seen an alert notice. This, on Wednesday, we're having the Deputy CEO of the Wing Luke Asian Museum, Cassie Chun, will be on a Q&A. In the alert, we cited a couple articles. These are interviews of Cassie, and there was a video. What will take place is that the committee has sent a list of issues and questions we would like Cassie to address dealing with the Asian community in Puget Sound country. The Wing Luke Asian Museum is an important collector of information and has relationships with the great number of Asian populations in Puget Sound. I sent to her about 6 questions that we would like her to address. Of course, Horizon House people who are participating can raise others as well as to use the chat line. The other issue from our committee I'd like you to be aware of. A year ago, the committee had a visitor. Our visitor was Peter Shapiro. All of us were getting used to terms such as infectious disease, pandemic, and Peter met with our group and shared his personal awareness about stereotypes. He found that the world experts didn't fit the stereotype in his head. They were not Northern European white males. They were from different parts of Africa, Asia. The World Health Organization is headed by, I believe, an Egyptian. I may be wrong. But at any rate, the committee took on a question: what should we do with this information? And the idea was we would provide here at Horizon House a resource where individuals can participate in small discussion groups. About 7 Horizon House people, some on the committee, some not on our committee, have worked for about a year to come up with a program. In the next week or so, you will see in the alert and in the elevators announcement about who, me. It has to do with the racial reckoning taking place in our society. None of us escape it. We found a wonderful resource, a book by a Black Muslim woman in the Middle East, Layla Saad. And she entitles the book, Me and White Supremacy. It's a marvelous challenge. Members of my work group who took on the task of building their skills to be discussion facilitators have gone through her guidance. There will be a kickoff on May 3rd, where after people have seen our announcements, they can come and express their concerns and questions and learn how they can sign up for a discussion group. So May 3rd, yes, and then April, and it's April 21 tomorrow. Thank you.
That would be a wonderful contribution to our community in so many different ways. So thank you, Frank, for carrying that ball. Wow. Thank you. Okay, so I will now call on Marianne, I believe. Yep, Marianne Anderson, Games and Arts Participation. Marianne, it's all yours.
Thank you, Peter. Together with Frank, we coordinate the arts participation and games. An interesting combination, but how better to have a good life, I think. And what are the games? As things are beginning to open up now, so the games are sort of taking off. They're finding their own way into our life again. And if you're interested in what games currently exist, or perhaps are interested in starting something yourself, look at the posting in the mailroom. It's just to your left as you walk into the mailroom, and see what is currently there, see what you'd like to participate in, and maybe you'd like to start something of your own. That's possible, you know. We have a pending, we have a pending cribbage crowd, and we'll see how that's progressing. The other, I received a phone call this morning, and this is a group that's been working towards this, and it's coming to fruition, I think. We're going to be the proud owners of a new ping pong table. Kathy and Norm Wells, who chair the ping pong commission, have just received a GEM grant. So they're going to buy a new table. We'll retain the one be on B1, and then there'll be a folding table. Don't be concerned, all you poker and bridge players, but there'll be a new table which is highly foldable, and it can be put off to the side when not in use, be put in the F-level game room. The art collection, onto the arts. The art collection at Horizon House is spectacular. You know that. What I didn't know is that it's one of the best collections in the city, and we're privileged to have it, and we have it for various reasons. Ann Kelly next month, to this group, will be talking about our art collection. It's being moved, and we're adding to it, and various things are happening as the areas are being remodeled. And so we look forward to Ann's presentation. Remember, however, that there are self-guided tours available. They're at the front desk. All you have to do is pick one up, carry it with you throughout the building with this guided tour of what is hanging on which wall, and you'll get a good education in arts appreciation. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Great, good report. Now I know I better refer to Norm as Commissioner Wells the next time I see him.
All right.
The ping pong commissioner. Okay, thanks very much, Marianne.
Thank you.
Okay. And now Beth Davis, the microphone and the video are yours. You're muted. You're muted. There we go.
Okay, I'll start over again. A relatively brief announcement. And that is all during this year of COVID, our 5 assisted living committees have found that their work was greatly reduced. The Flower Committee managed to come up with an innovative way to keep getting flowers, new flower arrangements to assisted living. And the Friendly Visitors just brilliantly came up with a whole variety of different ways to have some contact with their friends and acquaintances in assisted living. But recently, it has improved because COVID restrictions are lightening. And for the first time in many months, now the Friendly Visitors can sign up to actually meet their friends face to face down in assisted living. And that is wonderful. That's my announcement.
That is wonderful news indeed, and long time coming, and it's great. Thank you so much for making sure that happened when it's possible for it to happen. I know the folks who do it are, we're pushing as well to get going at that. Okay, super. Okay, we move on to a next segment, which is our spotlights on committees. And we talked about the committees and within the guise of, or under the rubric of the coordinators of committees. And now we shine the spotlight directly on a couple of committees. And let me share the screen and turn it over to George. So George will be introducing community spotlights. So let me just put them up on the screen for a second. Saturday Night Movies was Susan Barish, and then the election forums with Neil McReynolds. So I'll take off the screen and turn it over to you, George, to further introduce us.
Thank you very much. I have mentioned before back in February how pleased we were that the residents signed up for their new committees and activities. They did almost as well as in previous years. So we have ended up, as I said, with 70 different groups, 46 committees, 5 discussion groups, and 19 games and activities. And each month, we will share with you some of the activities and from these committee chairs and their facilitators. So each month you will get to hear what exactly they are doing. This month, we will hear from 2, as you saw on the slide. First will be Susan Barish, who will be discussing the Saturday Night Movies crew. She will be followed by Neil McReynolds, who will be discussing the Election Forums Committee. So, Susan, would you proceed?
Yes. So I'm wearing 2 hats today. I'm really not the chair of the movie committee, but Karen Lane, who is the chair, was unable to make this meeting. So I'm just stepping in for her and hope I can do her justice. You're all familiar with Saturday night movies. Our goal is to make them light and fun and sometimes topical, but we try to reserve Saturday night for a more relaxed type of movie. We're very lucky in that members of our committee, a lot of them actually have collections. So we are able to save money by using our own films, which during the pandemic was a huge help because we also didn't have to worry about running out to Scarecrow or, securing these movies. So we pretty much exhausted our collections. But we didn't hear many complaints, so I think it worked out okay. We, of course, we're always eager to welcome new people. We like to have new ideas presented and, different tastes. Obviously, we try to recognize that. So anytime you have a suggestion or want to sign on to the committee, you should contact Karen Lane because she is our chair, and she'd be more than happy to talk to you about the movies. I guess we should define Saturday night movies as we don't show documentaries, we don't show foreign films except British films. So we don't show foreign language films. We try to make sure all of our films have subtitles, though, for hearing impaired and vision impaired people to rely on. But it is, as I said, it's more light fare, and we try to represent the best of a lot of different periods and in different genres. And so if you feel that we're failing in this area, let us know, because we're certainly eager to present the things that you want to see here. So that's all I have to say. Welcome to the Saturday Night Movies.
Do you accept the physical contributions of CDs?
If you have specific films or movies that you feel would be appropriate and would like us to consider, we'd be very happy. You can put them in my box, you can put them in Karen Lane's box. Just make sure that you identify yourself where to return these movies, and we'll take it from there. Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Susan. Just to read, anyone who has any information or questions, contact either Susan or the chair, Karen Lane. Thank you very much. Next, we'll hear from Neil McReynolds and the Election Forums Group. Neil?
Yeah, thanks. Thank you very much, George. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about the election forums. Election forums have been conducted at Horizon House for many years. The forums are designed to educate Horizon House residents about the candidates and the ballot issues upon which we will be voting in the next election. Horizon House residents care about what happens in the world around us And that's one of the reasons why I like living here. To illustrate that point, we have been told that our precinct has the highest voting percentage of any precinct in King County. I wouldn't be surprised if we were one of the highest percentages in the state as well. That's a great reputation to have when you as an organization are trying to attract candidates to your election forums. I'm pleased to introduce my new co-chair for the committee, Laura Reese. I've chaired the committee for the past 2 years, and I'm pleased to have Laura join me this year, so we can benefit from her leadership experience, both here at Horizon House and organizing election forums for many years for other organizations, including the League of Women Voters. Welcome, Laura. Our work starts right after the deadline for candidates' filings, which this year will be on May 21st. Within days, our election forums committee will hold its first meeting of the year and decide which races we will address prior to the August 3rd primary election. Then we'll begin our planning and inviting candidates for our 3 election forums in July. This is the year for local government elections, city, county, and special district elections like the school board and the Port Commission. In the even number of years, the elections are devoted to federal and state offices, which is what we did last year, if you recall. The question we often get is how we select the races we feature at our forums. Well, we can't do all the races, so we generally focus on those races where there will be a real contest, not a one-sided affair. We look at the whole poll results, read the political analysis, plus draw upon our own backgrounds. We immediately start inviting candidates because many other organizations are also planning forums and we're competing for the candidates' time. Meanwhile, we're also preparing questions for the candidates. We have a questions subcommittee which does research on the issues, receives input from the residents, and writes the questions. They meet weekly throughout much of the election season. Horizon House has a reputation for asking good questions, and the good candidates like that. We get inquiries from residents who wonder why they can't ask questions at the forum. Well, the reason is primarily the time factor. We want to cover as many topics and to go in depth as much as possible in candidate responses. So we really don't have a lot of time. Instead, each year we ask residents to submit questions to the questions subcommittee for consideration and finalizing the list of questions for the moderators to ask at the forum. I encourage everyone to keep the questions coming. Your questions are important to this whole process. We occasionally get comments about how we favor one candidate or another. Well, we try very hard to avoid any favoritism to candidates or political parties. Even though many of us have been involved in campaigns in the past, our goal is to be objective as possible and present the candidates to you. In terms of committee involvement, you see a few of us on camera, but there is a large group of unsung heroes supporting us who are doing essential work of the committee, which ranges from handling the promotion of the forums to preparing the handouts and to meeting the candidates when they arrive for the in-person forums. We have 22 residents on the committee. Well, that's how we prepare for the pre-primary election forums, which this year will be held on the first 3 Mondays of July, July 5th, July 12th, and July 19th. The primary elections on August 3rd. As soon as we know the results of the primary, we'll begin planning for the forums for the November 2nd general election. We'll go through our same process we did for the primaries. In mid-August, we will choose the races that we will address in the 3 fall election forums, which this year will be held on September 27th, October 4th, and October 11th. In addition to candidates, we focus on the ballot issues in which Horizon House residents will be voting. In recent years, we've had our own residents present a few selected ballot issues orally using the for and against statements or arguments in the voter's pamphlet. Last year, we also provided a handout to every resident with a brief description of all 11 of the state and local ballot issues. A big question remaining for us, for our committee is, will we be doing the forums virtually using Zoom like we did last year? Or will we return to the in-person programs in Anderson Hall as we have done for many years previously? Using Zoom was a significant change for us in the way we prepared for and conduct the forums. But we made it work last year and we can do it again. Currently, we are planning for virtual forums in July. Last year, we were on a steep learning curve in using Zoom like everyone else, including the candidates. But it did give us an opportunity to do some things that we hadn't done before. The best example is the races for statewide office. We were able to secure candidates from all over the state, which is the first for us. This year, we're looking for a lively election with a wide open race for mayor of Seattle, 2 citywide council seats at stake, and contested races for the Seattle School Board after their tumultuous year. So thank you for your continuous feedback and support. Looking to see you over the screen this fall. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Neil. We look forward to the election forum. It always is informative. Well, that's our report for the spotlights for the April meeting. At our next meeting in May, we will give you a chance to hear from either 2 or 3 more of our committees or activities. Thanks much.
Great, George, thanks for taking the lead on that and making these great choices and getting it organized. Thank you. Okay, we now move on to the final segment, which I've just been grouping, to make it seem like we're organized. And I call this, if I get the right slide up here, it's not the right slide, but I'll be able to advance it, I think. I call this not Saturday night movies either. That's how organized we are, right? A community news segment. And it has 2 components to it. We'll continue with the McReynolds household, wonderful contributors to our community. And Nancy will tell us about Neighbor Day, May 8th, and what's being planned for that. And then we finish with the ever popular, yes, questions and answers with Audrey, with all the questions that you've asked or wish you would ask or hadn't thought of asking, but they're all good questions and they're all great answers. So I'll return now to the slide for Nancy, and Nancy, it's yours.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, wonderful.
Okay, the past 14 months have been hard on all of us. None of us has been spared. We have all felt stressed, frightened, and sometimes depressed. However, I think that these trying times have also brought out the best in us. I personally have been the recipient of many random acts of kindness, sometimes from people I hardly know. Mark your calendars and join your Horizon House neighbors for Seattle's 26th annual Neighbor Day on Saturday, May 8th. Neighbor Day is a special day set aside to reach out to your neighbors, make new friends, and express thanks to those who help make our community a great place to live. We encourage all Horizon House residents to celebrate this day by indulging in random acts of kindness. We hope you will join us on the Parkview Terrace between 1 and 3. Horizon House's very own ukulele band will be there to inspire us. You will also find a lemonade stand and a popcorn wagon. You can help yourself to special cards that have been prepared for you to give neighbors or staff who have been especially kind to you. Finally, take home a bookmark that will serve as a reminder that random acts of kindness can be done throughout the year. Rain or shine, we'll see you on the Parkview Terrace on Saturday, May 8th, between 1 and 3. This event is sponsored by the Wellness Committee, the Neighborhoods Committee, and Friend to Friend.
Wonderful. Great. I don't recall actually having heard about Neighbors Day before. It's good to know it's been around so long. Where have I been? Anyway. So now we turn. Drum roll, please. To questions and answers. Audrey Whitecamp, it's your turn. And Audrey.
I think you need to do Friday night movies.
That had to be canceled for.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry. You have
Okay.
you have the draft agenda. Thank you for pointing it out. I have been known to skip an agenda item, and you caught me once, and this time it's not the case. Thanks.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I have two questions today. One is pretty short, but it's important. Occasionally, we find or we notice that we have a resident wandering around looking lost or confused. Maybe they're standing by the elevators and they aren't sure if this is where they need to go to get back to their apartment. And the question raised by a resident is, what's the best way to help such a person? The best way to help is to step over to the front desk and tell them about the situation, and they'll immediately get somebody to help. I think many of us remember a woman resident who really would get lost toward the end, and it's nice to feel that she's has more help now. The second question is one that somebody asked and pointed out that if your mailbox is full of, as ours is, letters from charities, and you want to know which of them should you prioritize and which ones perhaps are already being contributed to by the institution of Horizon House. I'm not talking about individual residents, but by the other corporation here. And I asked Christy Seymour about it, and I said, does Horizon House institutionally contribute to some of the charities? And she said yes, that annually the Community Relations and Diversity Committee of the Board of Trustees makes decisions about where our Horizon House charitable dollars are spent. The list changes somewhat each year, but all their selections are within Seattle. The primary focus is to contribute to programs serving older adults of one or more groups that are underrepresented in Horizon House, such as race, ethnicity, religious, low income. In addition, Horizon House is a member of the First Hill Improvement Association and the Freeway Park Association. We also have staff members who participate on at least one, if not both, of their boards. As to specific organizations, for instance, they do not donate to Frye Museum or Town Hall, which is what the resident asked about. But here's the list that, at least for this year, it's the Council for Health and Human Service, Ministries of the United Church of Christ. That surprised me, but it shouldn't have, because after all, the Horizon House was started by that church. To the First Hill Farmers Market, First Hill Improvement Association, Freeway Park Association, Horizon House Shelter Family Sewing Group, Simon's House Lunch Program, and Bird Bar Place. So know that this Horizon House Corporation money goes to those charities. And that's my two questions, but please, if you have questions you would like me to find the answers, let me know. Telephone me, put it in my mailbox. Thanks.
And look forward to the time when we're back in Anderson Hall, and Audrey will be waiting in the Fireside Lounge to chat with you about any questions or anything else that you'd like to talk to her or others about. And we're looking forward to that opportunity. Thank you, Audrey. And thank you, everybody who participated in this meeting and is always participating, even when it's not immediately visible to the entire community. Your Residents Council is a busy group of people, and the 250 or so people who staff the committees that you've been hearing about are also busy, and it's just a marvelous place to be working and living. and enjoying things. So unless somebody wants to shout out something other than joy and good luck, I will close the meeting and gavel it down. Bye-bye.
How about guilty on all 3 counts?
Yep, that's true. I think we better not discuss it, though.
Nope.